Kendra's movie review.
Yeah, cha. So far, we've reviewed a couple movies. Let's go back.
Wow.
Talk about the movies that we started. So we've done Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
That was last week.
With a K.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
So
also
go check the VODs.
talked about Return of the Living Dead.
Which was your 1980s
Zombie
70s.
films. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was our zombie film that I had never seen. Today's film coming from the realm of old-timey films, black and white.
These are all going to be old-timey? Is that the deal?
No, I mean, I've got the options for next week prepared so we can talk a little bit about what movie I want to watch for next week at the end of this week. But
$782
was old. I really want to get this off to a good start. And the movie that we're reviewing today is considered a classic.
Okay, go ahead.
in the
It's
B-horror
up on the
films.
screen right now. So.
It's called Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Plan 9. No, I've never heard of this movie at all. Why did you pick it?
I picked this movie because this movie was actually received very little acclaim until the 1980s when authors Harry McDevil and Michael McDevil dubbed it the worst film ever made. 1980, they dubbed this the worst film ever made.
Really?
And so I was like, all right, well, I got to check out what the worst film ever made. Look, there's Bela Lugosi right there.
On the right?
Yep, there he is. This was Bela Lugosi's last film. So Dracula himself, this was the last film he ever appeared in because he actually died in the middle of shooting this film.
Shut up.
So the beginning scenes are the most you ever see of Bella, and then after that it's always him with a cape just like this because the actor that was covering for him was covering his face the entire time.
Oh, it wasn't Bella.
Correct.
Okay.
So this film is actually I don't even know where to begin with this.
Bela
synopsis for
Lugosi
this.
played Dracula, right?
Yes, Bela Lugosi
Okay.
played
All right, just
the
to
original
go.
Dracula, and he played Dracula multiple times.
Okay.
He loved the story of Dracula. He was actually buried in one of his Dracula costumes.
Can I ask you some questions about the film?
All right?
Okay.
Shoot.
All right. How long is it?
Oh, it's about
like-
an hour and a half.
It's okay. It looks like hour 18 here, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it translate to today? Was it hard to watch?
It was hard to watch.
Really?
It was not. I would not consider.
Why?
This
What
an
doesn't
easy
translate? What is it? Move slow or?
Well, it not only does it move slow a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of dialogue in it, so it had a surprising amount of dialogue for a 1959 film.
Right.
But it also it was kind of kooky. Okay, so what I found funny about this was the pilots that we're looking on the screen right now, they see a UFO. And at one point, one of the pilots actually goes, "We've known about this for forever, and nobody's allowed to talk about it," referring to UFOs, which is hilarious because this film was made in 1959. And even back then, they were including in films like, "Oh, we've always known that the aliens have existed, but none of us are allowed to talk about it." So that felt very timeless for me.
Well, piloting it was relatively new at this point, and they're like, well, they have to know about the other objects in the air, right? You know,
Yeah.
so pilots, probably around like 15, 20 years at this point. Commercial flights, 15
Yeah.
years maximum. So okay, yeah,
So,
you could see that.
One of the classic.
They still sing that song though. They do.
They do. It's exactly the same. You just got to see, oh, there he is again, that flying saucer. Those saucers, this movie got a lot of like backlash because people said, oh, he used wheel rims, he used like plates glued together for the saucers. No, he used a saucer model. So he bought little like toy models of UFOs and then he glued them together. And that's
Look
what
at
he
the
used for
the
props.
control sticks that these guys have. They got like little half circles here. What are they holding on to? That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's our idea of 1959 flight.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So
I can't see the string on the UFO. That's pretty
So
good.
the way the UFOs decide to invade Earth is, first of all, they're invading Earth because they've tried to get our attention and we've been ignoring them. The government's been ignoring them. So what they're going to do, this is their plot to take over Earth, is they're going to bring certain people back to life to kill the living people. So we're going to take the dead people that are already on planet Earth, we're going to shoot them with a little space gun, and then they're going to come back to life to kill the current living people.
Wow. So they just what did they get hit with here? They all just fell down.
That was actually when the spaceship was flying by.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they jumped out of the way.
Yeah. So
Got you. Okay. All right. Who's this? Morticia looking.
Yes, that's one of our
Look at
Dracula
that waistline.
She actually, the story goes, she would get dressed up in her makeup at home, and then she would take the bus across town to appear to film. Can you imagine somebody walking on the bus looking like that?
Well, the eyebrows are kind of reminiscent of what the girls do with their eyebrows nowadays. That's pretty close, isn't it? That's it. That's what they're doing.
So
that's pretty good. Pencil thin.
So it had these weird elements of like.
She's got like a size 13-inch waist.
Tiny.
They used to. That was the in style, though, wasn't it?
It was to have a very cinched waist.
That was super cinched.
This film. It has like the scary horror movie, like dead rising from
Saucers
the grave.
Seen over Hollywood. Okay, they so wobble on a string. That's so crazy.
So bad. So bad. It's good. I mean, if you enjoy bad horror movies, this definitely tops the list. It is a cult classic. Like I said, it was Bela Lugosi's last film. And what was really kind of
It's all on YouTube too. Look at that.
You can watch the whole thing on YouTube right now.
Wow. Okay.
The aliens are hilarious. This is the aliens. The way they greet each other is by going like this. Very dodgeball-y.
They cross their arms.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's great.
And
I want to see it.
What plan will you follow now?
Okay, go ahead. Keep talking.
So the aliens are ridiculous. They look just like us. They're, of course, it comes out at the end of the film that the whole idea is like we're afraid of nuclear war. That's why the aliens were invading us, because we had figured out the atomic bomb, and the next thing we were going to find out was this thing that they were already aware of, and we would destroy the entire universe if we were to get this power or whatever. So it felt very reminiscent of like our nuclear fears impacting our entertainment value. This is apparently the director, Ed Wood. He said this was his most proud film that he.
Ed Wood, didn't Johnny Depp play Ed Wood in a movie?
Maybe this film was considered Ed Wood's pride and joy. It's ridiculous. At one point, the alien just freaks out and says all these random things.
1994. Ed Wood was made. Johnny Depp plays Ed Wood, but it's all in black and white, and so it's they probably have this in
a little bit,
part of that classic. Go ahead.
And the other thing of note for this film is if you're a lady, get ready to be offended, because from our planet, women are for breeding, not for fighting men's battles, is one of the lines that's said in this film.
Well, but they have her talking.
Yeah, and then this scene right here, he scolds her.
Who threatens the very existence. Enough!
In my land, women are for advancing the race, not for fighting man's battle.
Well, that's it right there.
Yeah, there it
Life is not so expensive on my planet.
So,
wow.
There's also a scene where the wife is told to stay in the car, and she's like, I don't want to stay in the car. And one of the other police detectives are like, modern women, just kind of like those modern women.
All right. Well, you watched it compared to Killer Clowns from Outer Space and, of course, the Walking Dead movie.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead. Well, you're rating them out of Starship Troopers with a base. How does this one rate?
Well, this did get a lulz count of 6. So I laughed out loud 6 times. I would give it...
I like that fighting punches, though. I like these punches he's throwing. Watch this. Watch this. It's good.
It doesn't get much better in the old-timey films.
I like that.
They overact everything.
Nice.
This, I gave it 3 points for self-awareness. I mean, it's not super self-aware, but it is very ridiculous. So, again, just the premise of the aliens are bringing vampires to life to kill the people because of atomic war. So definitely worth a watch. I would say that if you like... out of a score of 0 to 5, I would consider this like a 3. It is definitely worth watching just because it was considered the worst film ever made, and it definitely has some merits there. And if you enjoy making fun of the film, this has enough dialogue that it's not super boring. Because sometimes you'll watch those bad films and it's just silence. But this has a lot of back and forth ridiculous dialogue that certainly is a great watch for joking around with your friends.
One of the best.
So I would say I would give it like a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 total. Starship Troopers. Okay. How does that compare with the other ones?
I mean, the Return of the Living Dead was like a 5 out of 5. Definitely a watch. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is like a 3.5 out of 5. I would say also definitely a watch. So we're kind of hitting all of the classics as far as like bad movies to watch. Also, Planet 9 from Outer Space I would consider like a must watch for B horror films, especially if you consider yourself like somebody interested in the genre of like B horror films. Gotta know the classics. This is one of them.
I love it. 3 out of 5. There you go. The classic name of the show is
Plan 9 from Outer
You
Space.
can catch that on YouTube.